Critical Role deals with the consequences of their actions, more Disney Lorcana cards, and the Final Fantasy crossover no one saw coming.
Alright, good enough. Let's keep on trucking.
Welcome to Fantasy News Friday, our weekly look back at all the news we haven't talked about in another video. This week, we're talking about the fallout of last week's stunning Critical Role episode, we're chatting about those new Disney Lorcana cards, and we're looking into how the Final Fantasy VII Remake will cross over into the Final Fantasy VII movie. Remember, if you like these kind of videos, be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep making them.
It would mean a lot to me.
Now, on to the news.
Issue number 1 is the first issue we're going to talk about.
Ashton dealt with the consequences of their actions in the latest Critical Role episode. After forcibly implanting a second Titan shard in their body last week, the episode opened with the cast confronting Ashton and then their body rejecting the shard and giving them a permanent -2 penalty to Constitution. However, the fallout wasn't limited to that. Fern literally hit Ashton with their own hammer, Delilah wants Laudna to kill Ashton, Chetney wanted to kick Ashton out of the party, and Matt even took the time to have Percy, the king of assholes, call out Ashton for their behavior, which is one of the more meta things that we've seen in Critical Role.
You're in my way again, you ape! What'd you call me?
Now, after all of that, the party decided to take yet another trip to visit Fern's grandmother for a retreat in the Fey Realm to have some bonding time, despite the fact that the universe is literally on the verge of war and reality itself is at risk. While Matt kind of let the party travel there, although he did have Allura lecture the party a bit about the potential consequences of not fixing the problems that are coming up in this campaign, he did warn that stalling could have its consequences. The live chat seemed equally frustrated about things, given that they can't believe that the cast isn't taking the threat of gods getting eaten seriously. We'll have to wait a few weeks to see what the consequences were for stalling, as Critical Role is actually off next week due to American Thanksgiving, and Candela Obscura's Chapter 3 premiere is the week after that.
I know you want this to be more than just one of your regular missions, but I've stopped trying.
Disney Lorcana's new set is coming out today, and good luck finding some stock at local game stores at a reasonable price. Rise of the Floodborn doubles the number of cards available in the Disney-themed card game with a new resist keyword that reduces damage and several new deck archetypes, including a bounce mechanic and an item flinging archetype. Of course, the big question is, what will be the chase card for the new set? Currently, Belle Hidden Archer appears to be the hot card in that set, selling for about $80 on TCG Player, but the enchanted cards haven't been put up on TCG Player, and we're expecting those to go for a lot more. Now, from the chatter that we're hearing within the Lorcana community, it seems to be that this Alice Enchanted card is going to be the new hot card of the set, but who knows, things can always change. In other Lorcana news, pre-orders for the Rise of the Floodborn product will go live on Ravensburger's website next Monday, so if you haven't gotten those cards yet, well, you can try that instead.
Good luck.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy will tie into the 2005 Advent Children movie, officially making the movie part of the Final Fantasy VII canon. The popular CGI sequel saw Cloud and his allies try to prevent Sephiroth's resurrection by a trio of villains. At least that's what we think happened in the movie, as the plot was exceptionally convoluted even by Final Fantasy standards. Now, according to the game's producer, elements of Advent Children will be featured in the Final Fantasy VII Remake game trilogy, but don't expect the plot to play out exactly as it did in the movie, which is probably a good thing. Maybe we'll be able to follow it a little bit better this time.
That just makes no sense.
Masters of the Universe goes cyberpunk in the new season of Masters of the Universe Revolution. Netflix released the new trailer of the Masters of the Universe animated show, which features a technology versus magic theme this season. Skeletor has been upgraded into a Necron and goes on the attack, while Prince Adam has to decide whether he wants to be a leader or a hero as he chooses life between being a king or being a He-Man. The new season debuts in January.
There's a far greater power than even the power of Grayskull.
And even more Netflix news, the streaming platform has released the trailer for a live-action adaptation of Yu Yu Hakusho, the beloved manga and anime series by Yoshihiro Togashi. The trailer looks pretty cool, although we'll note that this was a Japanese production as opposed to a Hollywood adaptation like One Piece was. That, of course, presents its own pros and cons, but we will note that live-action anime projects have been a very mixed bag in general, and we should probably go into this one with lower expectations so we won't be disappointed.
What are the odds of that?
Now, finally, in sadder Netflix news, the streaming platform has canceled Shadow and Bone after just 2 seasons. While the first season was a hit and even spurred talks of multiple spin-offs, the second season was barely marketed, looked significantly cheaper, and ultimately seemed to miss whatever metrics was needed to ensure that the story would actually get wrapped. Sad news for all the Shadow and Bone fans. I know that you guys were a loyal bunch, and we're sad that the story won't get wrapped up either. Netflix, you probably should stop canceling stuff halfway through the story.
I am very disappointed!
And finally, the upcoming Adventure Time RPG is switching from a bespoke yes and system to a 5e adaptation. According to the publisher, the switch was made after receiving feedback on the new system, which debuted at Gen Con and will be released in 2024. Honestly, this is pretty disappointing news given that Adventure Time doesn't really seem to lend itself to chunky fantasy rules. Yes, we know Adventure Time is a fantasy show about, a kid with a sword, but that's not what 5e is all about. But I guess we'll just have to see what the designers have in store when the game releases next year.
Maybe we should take a break?
So that's all the stories that we have this week. Let us know what your favorite one was in the comments section, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.